I'd like to introduce Kevin Tent, ACE. In fact, he's a board member of the American Cinema Editors. He's worked extensively with Alexander Payne on such movies as The Descendants, which he was nominated for an Oscar for, Nebraska, Election, and so many more. About Schmidt, Girl Interrupted, Monster-in-Law, Downsizing. That's just naming a few. And there's a movie that probably isn't on his resume. It's called Rock and Roll High School Forever. I think it was like 1990, probably. And it had great cinematography, but it wasn't a very good movie.
Great cinematography.
And so that's when I first met Kevin. And that's how I conned him to come in here, I guess, today to share with us. So, but you had been an editor for a while before that. That's how you got started.
I went to LA City College right over here on Vermont and Santa Monica Boulevard. They had a very small film department there, and I had made a couple of short films, and I got a job editing educational films for a guy named Al Higgins, who had a place on Sunset, and he had been a cameraman during the war and gone into educational films, and he was still making them in the 80s. And then really my real start happened when I got a chance to recut a film at Roger Corman's studio where I met Jim. And I had been editing there for, I don't know, a couple of years before we did Rock and Roll High School Forever. And yeah, that's how I got my start. And I kept doing Roger movies, many of them, as I don't know how many you did.
I just did that one, and it was sort of,
out of there.
He was an executive producer on it. He didn't have too much to do with it.
Right. Yeah,
I can't say I really went through the whole Corman experience. Well, but you did. What was that like?
You know what? It was really good for editors because you had to move really fast. You didn't get paid much, but you got a lot of experience very quickly. And I found that really, at least for me, my learning abilities really good. And you had to think ahead of him because he was ruthless. Like he would just, if a movie was slow, he would just like say, take out that scene. But if you really cared about what you were working on, you were like, the scene's really important. We got to figure out a way to make everything happen faster and keep him, keep his attention going so that he didn't tell you to take out something critical. So I found that really good. You just had to cut things really fast, tight, and if it wasn't working, get rid of it before he did.
Now, for the younger audience, they might not remember what you were cutting on that fat stuff, that
film stuff.
35 millimeter.
Yep. I started out on film, and we had big moviolas, and it was just amazing. I kind of miss it, but not really. But there was something
good for your biceps.
Great. It was good. That is true. I tell the other younger editors all the time, when you worked on film, you were constantly getting up, reaching, pulling this, bending. You were all day long, 12 hours a day. You were doing that, and now, oh my God, you just sit and click. It's not good for your health.
Now, as I said, you worked a lot with Alexander Payne. How many movies was that?
I don't know. All of his movies I've done.
Yeah.
The only one I didn't do, there was the little. I was on another movie, and he did the one of the French shorts in that series of the French films.
Seems like 7 or 8. I lost count to so many.
Yeah.
How do you collaborate? I imagine that you've developed a shorthand with him over the years.
Well, first of all, I always say he's a really good editor himself. Oh. And he loves being in the cutting room. Like after being on the set, he just likes the kind of the peacefulness of the cutting room, and so we work really closely together. We worked on his very first movie on film, and I guess we're alike in a lot of ways, but we're I don't know, we work well together. And he's a very loyal guy. Like a lot of directors, they get their first movie, they get who they can afford, and then later they try to get somebody more expensive, and he was never like that. In fact, he really argued to have me on his first film. Like they were offering him people with a lot more credits. I had all those Roger credits and stuff, but
they stick their nose up at that.
Yeah,
sometimes.
They did. But he liked that. He actually liked that I worked at Roger Corman's. He thought that was cool. So
I've been left in the dust so many times by directors who shoot up. So I know what you mean. I really appreciate if they are.
Yeah, I totally appreciate it. He's very loyal, and he's been loyal to a lot of his crew members over the years.
So do you cut concurrently? Do you go on location?
I don't go on location anymore because we do have a shorthand, and I talk to him every day, like watching dailies.
You didn't get to go to Hawaii for the
I
Descendants?
went only to show him some cut scenes.
Good excuse.
Yeah, it was a good excuse to go. But no, we don't really. Sideways was the last one where we watched dailies for the first couple of weeks. They were shooting in Santa Barbara, so I would drive up there and we'd watch dailies for, a couple hours, and then I'd come home. But, I talked to him. He doesn't even watch dailies anymore because he just watches them later. We have our own little process of how we work now, but I will cut while he's shooting. And then when he comes back to the cutting room, we'll start watching dailies as if he is in there for the first time and seeing him. So, and I watch him again too. So it's just okay. Okay, it works out good. And then we sort of build scenes and go back and look at how I had it. And if he wants to take something from that, or we merge things together.
Now, you said he's a really good editor. Does he have a background in editing, or?
No, but he thinks like one. Like, he knows, he pretty much rarely misses a critical shot that he needs. And when he was in film school, he went to UCLA. He edited his own movies, so I think that was part of it. And he just thinks like an editor.
Yeah.
Like, he knows when things are too long. He likes to scare me by keeping things in the movie that I know have got to come out, and he knows it too, but he just doesn't want to take them out yet. So we'll get closer to screenings, and I'm like, oh, we got to cut these lines out. And, gets me all worked up. But
Now, I think that being an editor is an excellent background for a director.
Yeah.
And you directed
Yeah.
a movie called Crash Pad?
yes, I did. Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was it was something I've always wanted to do, is to direct a movie. So I found this funny little script, and it took a while to get it done and get it made, but we got it made. And as I can say honestly, I've seen worse. So go ahead and see it. But it's a comedy, and it's pretty funny, and people enjoy it.
Tell us about your team.
My
How big is your editorial team, and what?
Well, I have had a longtime assistant named Mindy Elliott, who is amazing, and everyone loves her. She's like the perfect front person for the cutting room. Like, she's cheerful and polite and really, really competent. And she's editing not her first feature, but now she's editing a feature film. And I know I'm so happy for her, because it's what she's been really wanting to do. So, but she's been great. And like on Downsizing, we had a fairly good sized crew because it was a big movie. But on other movies, it's her and a second assistant and myself, and maybe we have a kid who goes and gets us coffee and lunches and stuff like that. But it's pretty small.
Yeah.
Downsizing was bigger.
What kind of technology? I already know, but tell everybody.
I'm a big Avid fan, so we use Avid whenever I can. I use Avid, but I've done a couple of things on Premiere. In fact, if you guys are looking to see a movie this weekend, Peanut Butter Falcon is a really sweet movie that just got released on streaming or iTunes or and Amazon. So that's a really sweet movie. That was kind of Premiere, but I prefer Avid.
Why? What do you look for in an NLE?
I think that because I transitioned directly from film, and it was initially, and it is still now, really laid out how you would edit film. You would have your source, like your moviola that you would look at shots on. You would mark them, cut them, and then you would take them to the other moviola and put them into the scene, into the reels. And that's really how Avid works too. You look at your shots in this window, put them in, put your in and outs, and put it into your next window, and then you can watch all your shots together. So I think that's one of the reasons I transitioned to it very easily. And it was like the early one that they were using, and that's what I learned. So
I have a long list of movies, so maybe just a quick comment on some of them. I'm going to... The Descendants, I think that's the one you were nominated for an Oscar for.
Yeah. Lovely movie. I mean, really sweet and sad and touching, and George Clooney I don't think was ever better. And Shailene Woodley, it was her first role. That was amazing. I don't know if anyone's seen that movie, but yeah, Shailene, she had been on a TV show, but that was like if you remember the scene in the pool where she finds out her mom's going to die, and the scene afterwards, that is the first or second day of shooting. And here's this young girl, 17, acting in front of George Clooney. I mean, I can't imagine the pressure. She just blows them out of the water. She's just so good. And I remember in dailies the very first day going, oh my God, who is this girl? She's incredible. And she was just so phenomenal.
great performances make the editor look good too, huh?
Oh, that's true. So true.
One of my all-time favorite movies. I just love Sideways.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Small movie, but it's just like it's a classic.
Yep, it was. That was a lot of fun to cut, and it was one of those ones we were working on, and I knew I really liked it, but I had no idea it would become a hit. Except for when we had one of our final previews out in Simi Valley, and we tested for an audience, and they stayed. A lot of people stayed, and then this lady in the focus group, we knew we had scored well. You could just feel that it played well. But this lady was like, "Those guys are just like my brother and his friend," and blah, 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 blah. And she was just so enthusiastic, and it was like, oh, maybe this is going to be a bigger movie than I thought.
Have a glass of Merlot and celebrate.
Yes, exactly.
I think the editing had a lot to do with the success of that film, too. I really have to
We had a lot
hand
of
it to you.
fun.
There's just a lot of really great timing things that help.
Yeah, that was a 140-page script, too. That was a really long script, and that was a gorilla to get down to 2 hours and whatever it is, 3 minutes, I think. But
Nebraska?
yeah, Nebraska was one of Alexander's right before downsizing. That was a really sweet film. Not a lot of editing in there, but still that made it challenging still to figure out how to get the story all told and everything like that.
I don't think that one got the attention that it should.
It was a beautiful
deserved.
film. Yeah, visually, God, it was beautiful.
Another classic is Election.
Yeah, Election. Thank you. That, you know what, you hope when you're working in the film business, you hope you get a movie like that anyone who had touched that film got a big career boost, including me. I mean, and including Alexander and everyone. But because it just, I don't know, it just happened to hit right.
It's quirky and funny. And
Yeah.
About Schmidt.
Yeah.
What about Schmidt?
That's one of my favorite Alexander movies, honestly. And Jack Nicholson's great. And it is really slow and stuff in spots, but I just think it's really funny and like deep water funny. Like you don't even know why you're kind of smiling and laughing, but because it's so real, I think that too.
And leaving Xander, you had Girl Interrupted.
That was a good one. That was Angelina Jolie. Was like one of her early films. It wasn't her first film, but it was right up there, and she was phenomenal in it, and she got an Academy Award for it. So that was kind of great.
Monster-in-Law.
Fun movie. I was just thinking about that one the other day. Jane Fonda was great in it, and
She hadn't acted for a long time before that.
yeah, they pulled her out of retirement to go do it, and she was great in it. And they're Wanda Sykes. Her and Wanda Sykes are so funny together in it, I think, and it's really a cute movie, and it did very well.
And Crash Pad.
Crash Pad.
Talk about Crash Pad.
It stars Thomas Hayden Church and Donald Gleason, and it's just kind of a sideways look at a romantic comedy.
Where can people see it now? Is it on Netflix or whatever?
It's not on Netflix. Somebody told me it's on Hulu. If you have Hulu, you can watch it for free, and then you can also get it from Amazon or iTunes or anything like that.
Last thing I want to ask you is advice to up-and-coming editors.
What my advice, and I'll stick to it, it's how I became an editor, which is I just did it a lot. And I tell young editors I cut my friend's short films. I cut birthday videos. I was constantly cutting stuff to just keep doing it. And it helped me for when the first door opened. I felt confident enough that I could go through that first door. And then I did those educational films. And then when I got a call to work at Rogers, I felt confident to go into Rogers and recut something. And so I just tell young editors, keep on cutting. Do whatever you can. Even if music videos, wedding videos, doesn't matter. Just do your version of those things and keep on cutting. And when doors open, which they ultimately will at some point, you're ready to walk through them.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks,
Really
guys.
great interview.
Thank you.